Good morning and welcome to Pay It Forward's podcast. Today, we'll be talking about dealing with difficult relationships. Building strong relationships is at the core of what we do here at Pay It Forward. I am joined today by Alan and Mitchell, two representatives that are joining me also of Pay It Forward. So, Alan, have you ever had to deal with any difficult relationships?
Oh yeah, many times. Basically, I've been doing business with variety of people, customers, and then also from a personal standpoint, I also interact with a lot of people through the years. So unfortunately, not every situation is smooth. So it took a while to understand what the situation is and how each difficult situation evolve.
Mhm.
So Mitchell, maybe you can comment on whatever your
Yeah,
experience.
me and Alan, we worked in similar business environments. So I've definitely had a share of different personalities with customers who some people, are very difficult to deal with, but it's our job to deal with them. So you can't just ignore those type of situations when on a regular basis. And I also have a pretty large family. Again, lots of different personalities and different situations going on, to where you can't make everyone happy. So you always have a difficult relationship, no matter what decision you make. Yeah. What about you, Sherry?
Well, I would agree from a business standpoint. I too, like Alan, was a former business owner, and obviously, customer service is a huge part in any business. But when you're the business owner, the buck stops with you, and you want everyone to be happy, and you try your best. But there are some people who are just never satisfied, and it can be draining and difficult. But you try to do your best to be empathetic, to listen, to resolve the issue fairly. But yeah, it's sometimes can be very difficult. That's from a business perspective, and then on a personal level, I do and have had difficult relationships in the past. And sometimes they can be resolved and sometimes they can't. Have either of you ever had the experience of having to let go of a difficult relationship? How about you, Mitchell?
Sure. I mean, I think, I've dated and had obviously situations where like we had to go different ways from that standpoint. But even in terms of business, there's been a couple times where we've had to fire customers,
Mm,
because of the way they approach things, their lack of empathy towards what we do and our employees, things like that. But sometimes it's better for everyone's mental health and well being to just go separate ways. Um, yeah. What about you, Alan?
Yeah, basically in the first 10, 15 years, when I was young, I was naive. I'm trying to just make everything work. And unfortunately, that caused serious problem with my mental health
mm,
because no matter how hard I try, what I do, things never get resolved. So actually, I have several episodes that I have to, go to the hospital and all kinds of unpleasant medical situations because I try too hard. But after a while, then become a little bit wiser.
mm,
Also, back in the day, there were no internet, so I go to a library, read, and I also just ask older people about their advice. And one thing that I learned that changed my life is that the general advice is don't try to change other people
mm,
because I guess that's human nature. People just don't want to change. So the only way that I can change the situation is I change myself.
mhm,
Hmm.
So after I learned that, then I'm becoming a little bit more comfortable. So basically, whether it's right or wrong, there's no need to argue. We just change myself, and either you want to keep the relationship going and then do it like kind of an awkward way, or you just forget about the relationship and move on and never go back.
I'm sorry you had to deal with that. It sounds really difficult, and I can relate, not to that degree, but in business. But yeah, that's very hard, and it just in today's world, especially, it just seems like we're so divided sometimes. I have had a personal relationship with someone for over 40 years, and we were very close, and given all the divisiveness today, she opted to tell me that we really couldn't be friends anymore because we were not like-minded. And it was really hard. I mourned that friendship. I grieved that friendship, and I didn't understand it. And it really bothered me, and it cost me a lot of tears and, thinking about it all the time. And then I finally just realized, like you said, you can't, we're not going to change her opinion. She's not going to change mine. So I just had to make the decision to let it go. And I feel a lot better about it because I'm not expending all that time and energy and heartache when I guess there isn't a resolution at this point in time. I mean, should she decide that, we can still be friends at some point in the future, I would be open to that. But I'm not going to waste any more time and energy, thinking about it, because it wasn't good for my mental health. Yeah. So you're right. You really, in both cases, you can't change another person. So, you either have to be willing to accept who they are or let it go. So, but it's difficult. Yeah.
I would agree with both you guys, and I kind of think the same way, where you can't require someone to change it. At best you can do is inspire them. We do love people and care about people. We want them to change, but there's nothing else you can do but try to inspire them. Mm-hmm. And something else you said is about accepting people for the way they are. That's crucial too, is recognizing that people won't change. And if you want them in your life, that you have to take the good with the bad and just say, this is that person, this is who they are, and you have to accept it. And both parties should do that. When one party can't do that, that's usually when the relationship probably isn't worth it, because it's out of balance.
Yeah, I have another relationship. Well, it's not really, it's a person that I'm close to who doesn't get along with other people that I'm close to. And that's very hard also, because I tend to be more accepting, like you mentioned. People don't have to think like me. People don't have to look like me. People don't have to even, act like me. I'm pretty accepting. I like people just with all their quirks and faults and the whole package. There's very few people that I do not get along with, but a person that I'm close to is not that accepting, and it makes it difficult. But I'm trying to come to terms with the fact that he's not going to change. So I have to kind of separate my life when I want to see the people that we know mutually and see them independent of the other relationship. I wish we could all be together and kumbaya and be one big happy family, but I don't see it happening. I mean, who knows? Maybe in the future, they'll realize life is short. Not everybody has to, think like you or be like you, and, try to develop some understanding, of why people are different and embrace the difference.
Yeah. We really should, try to lower our expectations on each other a little bit sometimes in terms of relationships. So everyone's human. Everyone makes mistakes. No one can really meet imaginary expectations anyways, because we don't really communicate them that well with each other.
Right. Yes, communication is really important. And, sometimes it's really hard to be open and honest. Maybe, something that you're thinking about this other person, you don't want to express it. But if it's out in the open, you can move on one way or another, rather than harbor ill will or whatever. But maybe you'll get to see something from the other person's perspective if you talk openly, and you'll have a greater understanding of why they are different from you or think differently than you. But, we're all learning.
Yeah. But I can imagine that, like the topic is, kind of navigating and getting through difficult relationships. That meaning that we decided not to turn our back on the people. So we have to figure out how to deal with that. And that can be stressful and take a lot of, out of people who are sacrificing for that to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So I think when people do sacrifice themselves to maintain relationships, they have to put a little extra to their own self-care.
Right.
Because you are emptying your cup more than you probably should be, like it or not.
Yes. Now, Alan, at one time, one of our programs that we are hoping, that will get off the ground is Common Ground. And because a lot of times familial issues create a lot of discord within families. I'm sure we all know families who, one's not speaking to the other, and, there's this animosity for whatever reason. Can you share with us what we were thinking about with this Common Ground program?
So is it similar to Solid Bond?
Yes. I think we had a couple of names for it. I think I call it Common Ground and you and Mitchell call it Solid Bond. But yes, Solid Bond.
Yeah, I think hopefully with Pay It Forward, maybe we can promote this, because with the Solid Bond, it hopefully will help with the current situation where people don't have time to interact with each other. So I think what we're thinking is maybe multiple generation of people, older, younger kids can all like share something together. Maybe they can pick a cake, they can, hike, or just do something together, or engage with nature, or pets, away from the day-to-day, like a stress. That should probably relieve some of the anxiety, and also improve mental health, and also just bring people together.
Yeah, I would agree. And like the name says, with the Solid Bond, is that humans, we're still animals. So if you put people in the right environment, in the right situations, then the idea is hopefully they will bond naturally. And you may have family members that don't speak to each other because now they're in a different environment and they're doing something that they become friends. They click. Something happens. Something changes.
Right. Yeah, I think the idea of the program was to, have a place where families who were going through discord among family members could come away from their home environments, and they may not even live near each other. So it would be a place to get together. And we, depending on the situation, may even offer like a facilitator, who can kind of walk them through whatever the issues are that they're experiencing. And hopefully just by being together, being open, doing activities together, like you mentioned, Alan, hiking or cooking or having a picnic, maybe they will start to find common ground and be able to move the relationship in a more positive manner. And even if, that's a program that we're Pay It Forward is talking about, implementing and offering to families in those situations, but it can be done without a solid bond, families who are, experiencing discord. Maybe one solution is to have a gathering and invite everyone. They may not come, but have something where everyone can be together, or, see each other outside of their home environment, and try to open up the lines of communication. But I mean, that's the key. I mean, if you can't, the more you don't see each other, I think the more it builds up. So if you can get people in the same room or the same area outside in a park, I think that can go a long way to maybe seeing each other's perspective and building a closer bond.
Yeah. And, and when people go places and hang out together, they should do an activity that helps them bond. Play a game, play a board game, play cornhole, like dance, have a shared experience, watch some entertainment together, watch a movie together, do something to help the brains, give off the bonding chemicals.
Right. Exactly. And I do think it would be it's a first step, and maybe it'll be a step that creates a new relationship. I mean, you don't know unless you try, and you do. And people do need to be willing to try. But I think most people want to, resolve any issues and have a close family. I mean, that's all we have, our family and friends. So.
Well, also with the new technology, even if people are busy, they cannot do it live together. Maybe we can use a platform like this, like a virtual. It's still better than no program at all.
That's very true, Alan. I mean, look at with telemed. For some people, that's the way they get to see a doctor, and it's really important, and both for physical health and mental health. So you're right. Even if it's a family Zoom or a game over the internet together, you're right. That opens up other possibilities for people who may even live on opposite coasts of the country or out of the country. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, technology can also bring us together. We always think of it as pulling us apart, but it certainly can bring us together. I mean, look at us. We're all in different locations today.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, a game might be interesting. So if we have a host that kind of bring all parties together, even though that host may or may not be part of the family or part of the system, but they can definitely bring people together. Yeah. Probably like a mini church meeting, instead of hundreds of people, it will be 3 or 4 people.
Mm-hmm.
And the good thing is we can record for them. And for other members of the family or the friends, if they're busy, they can watch the replay.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
So I feel like, in talking about it, I think we've talked about some possible solutions: meeting on the internet, having a family gathering, writing a letter, picking up the phone. We all tend to be glued to our phones, but we don't actually call and speak to anyone nowadays. So there are things we can do to try to bridge any gaps that you have in your relationships.
Yeah. And don't forget the self-care. If you're dealing with a difficult relationship, make sure you're taking care of yourself. If you're trying to maintain other thing and playing that role, you still have to make sure that your glass is still full.
Absolutely. And as based on my experience, there are times you have to let it go for your own well-being too.
Yeah.
Several years ago, there was a program that you can hire a celebrity for a few minutes, and that celebrity can sing a birthday song or something like this. So maybe Pay It Forward can come up with a program like this. That might kind of break the ice, so people kind of haven't seen each other, or there were some differences in old days. Maybe you can bring like a neutral person, maybe a comedian or somebody. Hopefully it won't be too expensive.
What was that called? I think it's still out there. I mean, there are, especially like minor celebrities who are making a lot of money doing that, but I can't remember what it was called. But yes, yeah, but you're right. Maybe something similar.
yeah, pay it forward can possibly like organize. It's not that complicated.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have to be expensive. I think back in the days they were hiring, famous athletes and all that. But in this case, all we need is just somebody funny, somebody that is neutral, that will kind of people will remember. When I'm glad that Pay It Forward organized this. Now, since we haven't spoken for many years, now through this, now we are inching back normal relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. Because, as humans, we are social creatures. We need relationships. We need bonding. We need communication. We need love and family and things like that. And it seems like society is getting away from all that. So we got to kind of fight back a little bit, or at least try to do our part. Literally, pay it forward.
I would agree. Anything else either one of you would like to share or add today regarding dealing with difficult relationships? Mitchell?
I think we made a lot of good points. I think I'm pretty good. Nothing comes to mind right now, but I'm sure we'll have more conversations in the future.
Alan, how about you?
Yeah, I think I'm more leaning towards using technology instead of just going back to the good old. So hopefully, maybe with Pay It Forward, we can scale with the technology and touch people's heart and try to bring people closer back together.
Yes. Well, I just like to share that from my own experience, you do the best you can, take care of yourself, as Mitchell was mentioning. And, if you can open the lines of communication, try. If you're willing to try, hopefully it will work out. And if it doesn't, make sure that you keep your own mental health in check and move on. Because I'm sure you have other friends and family that you are close to. And let's all just try to be kinder and nicer to each other and maybe less divisive, which seems to be the common thing today. And hopefully we can all pay it forward.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay, until next time, be well.
Bye.
Bye-bye.